What is going on, guys? Defense wins championships isn't a cliche. In the NFL, it's proven every single year. You need a stingy group that can hold down the fort if you want to compete for Super Bowls. Find us the last time a team won the Lombardi Trophy with a bottom 10 defense. As we get closer to the 2020 NFL season, now's a good time to see how all 32 defenses stack up against each other. Here are our rankings for every NFL defensive unit heading into the new season. Number 32, New York Giants. New head coach Joe Judge and defensive coordinator Patrick Graham have their work cut out for them. They're taking over a defense that finished 25th in yards and 30th in scoring. We can't fault GM Dave Gettleman for overpaying for James Bradbury and Blake Martinez in free agency, because this awful unit needs all the help they can get. They really need youngsters Jabril Peppers, DeAndre Baker, and Dexter Lawrence to step up in 2020. Number 31, Carolina Panthers. The Panthers allowed 29.4 points per game last season, second most in the NFL. They lost franchise star and Pro Bowl linebacker Luke Kuechly to retirement. They have to play 6 total games against Drew Brees, Tom Brady, and Matt Ryan. No wonder the Panthers used all of their 2020 draft picks on defense. This unit is going to experience a plethora of growing pains. So brace yourself, Panthers fans. Number 30, Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars probably made the right call to ditch their expensive veterans on defense, but they're obviously going to be terrible on this side of the ball with Calais Campbell, Marcel Darius, and AJ Bouye all gone. Jacksonville was fun while it lasted. At least Josh Allen and rookies CJ Henderson and Kayvon Chason are a tremendous young core to build around. It definitely won't happen in 2020, but this defense isn't far away from becoming elite again. Number 29, Detroit Lions. The Lions allowed the second most yards and a whopping 26.4 points per game last season. Isn't head coach Matt Patricia supposed to be a defensive guru? Losing Darius Slay hurts big time, but at least they found a gem in Jeffrey Okudah to replace him. Sorry, but bringing in former Patriots Jamie Collins, Danny Shelton, and Duron Harmon isn't going to change much. Stop obsessing over the Patriots connection already, Bob Quinn. We don't mind the Desmond Trufant signing, but don't expect this Lions defense to make much progress in 2020. Not enough playmakers, and the pass rush is still woeful. Number 28, Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals finished near the bottom in just about every major defensive category last year, but it's hard not to love the front seven led by Geno Atkins, Carlos Dunlap, and newcomer DJ Reader, who was a force in Houston. The Bengals overpaid for defensive backs Trey Waynes and Von Bell, but there's still upgrades over just about anybody else the defense has used in recent years. Too bad Cincinnati shares a division with Lamar Jackson, Ben Roethlisberger, and Baker Mayfield. Number 27, Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons defense saw big-time improvement after Dan Quinn moved Raheem Morris to secondary coach midway through the season. Morris' work landed him the defensive coordinator gig for the 2020 season. They lost Desmond Trufant, Devondre Campbell, and Vic Beasley. We don't think newcomer Dante Fowler Jr. is enough to offset all those losses. If Keanu Neal and Deion Jones can stay healthy, maybe the Falcons will experience a dramatic turnaround, but we're not optimistic. Number 26, Houston Texans. J.J. Watt is now one of the most injury-prone players in football, which is really bad because the rest of this unit is very, very mediocre. Bill O'Brien, for whatever reason, only paid attention to improving an already potent offensive unit. He did nothing to address a lackluster defense that lost DJ Reader in the offseason. Better hope that rookie Ross Blacklock can outperform expectations, and that the secondary can miraculously improve without any upgrades. Number 25, the Washington football team. The Washington defense was also quite atrocious last season. The good news is that they have nowhere to go but up. Hiring Ron Rivera automatically means improvement. Love the hiring of Jack Del Rio as his new defensive coordinator too. That man has a history of quickly turning his units around. Also, in case you missed it, the Redskins drafted generational prospect Chase Young. Weren't Daron Payne, Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, and Ryan Kerrigan scary enough to begin with? We wouldn't be shocked if this was a top 10 unit in the most major categories by season's end. Number 24, Arizona Cardinals. Surprising how bad this defense has been with Pro Bowl corner Patrick Peterson and world-class pass rusher Chandler Jones. No way they'll surrender the most yards again in 2020 though. Versatile rookie Isaiah Simmons will change the entire dynamic of this group. And gotta love the Devondre Campbell and Jordan Phillips signings. The latter had 9.5 sacks last season and should complement Jones and Simmons beautifully. Arizona should be much better on this side of the ball, but we'll believe it when we see it. Winning the offseason isn't good enough. Number 23, Seattle Seahawks. This unit isn't horrible, but it's not exactly championship caliber either. At least Bobby Wagner is the best linebacker in the league. Offseason pickup Quentin Dunbar provides some hope in the secondary. And the Jamal Adams addition was huge, but is it enough? There's still plenty of holes in this unit. They'll remain the bottom third of our rankings until they prove us wrong. Number 22, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Stats don't do justice. The Bucs defense was better than you think. They were consistently put in bad situations because of Jameis Winston's 30 interceptions. They won't have to worry about Tom Brady committing that many turnovers, thankfully. The Bucs defense is led by Shaq Barrett, who led the NFL with 19.5 sacks last season, and veteran standouts Jason Pierre-Paul and Ndamukong Suh. Second-year linebacker Devin White should break out in 2020 also. But the secondary is a cause for concern. The Bucs didn't do enough to address that in the offseason. They'll be a pretty average unit in 2020. Number 21, Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins finished last in scoring defense in 2019, allowing a whopping 30.9 points per game. That'll change in 2020 though. They signed stud pass rusher Shaq Lawson, duo linebacker Kyle Van Noy, and Pro Bowl corner Byron Jones in free agency. You can argue they were all overpaid, but they bring much needed experience, leadership, and playmaking skills to a young defense. Jones and Xavier Howard could form the league's best cornerback duo next season. Lawson, Van Noy, and Christian Wilkins will help them out by providing a solid pass rush too. A defensive turnaround is in order in Miami. Number 20, Cleveland Browns. A team with Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, Sheldon Richardson, and Olivier Vernon should be borderline elite. New defensive coordinator Joe Woods should get more out of this group than Steve Wilks did. The talent is there, no doubt. It's just a matter of whether or not Woods and new head coach Kevin Stefanski can make it work. Until they prove they can, we have to keep the Browns defense outside the top half of our rankings. Number 19, Las Vegas Raiders. Love the offseason upgrades by John Gruden and Mike Mayock. Signing linebackers Corey Littleton and Nick Kwiatkowski, and veteran defensive tackle Malik Collins to complement Max Crosby and Cleveland Farrell. Yeah, this pass rush will be phenomenal. There are still questions in the secondary. The Raiders need youngsters Jonathan Abram and Damon Arnett to step up here. A pass rush is only so good if the secondary isn't doing its job. Number 18, New York Jets. Greg Williams' defensive units tend to overachieve early. That was the case for the Jets in 2019. They finished 7th in yards and 16th in points. Not bad considering prized free agent pickup CJ Mosley missed all but 2 games. Still, the secondary is merely average, and the pass rush doesn't have enough juice. Quinnen Williams didn't produce as much as the Jets had hoped. If he can't break out in his sophomore year, and if Mosley is healthy, maybe the Jets will be a top 10 defense again. But the key word is if. Number 17, Los Angeles Rams. Losing Corey Littleton, Nikel Roby-Coleman, and Eric Weddle hurts. The Rams are only this high because they have the league's best defensive players in Aaron Donald and a top-tier cornerback in Jalen Ramsey. Those two alone are good enough to ensure that the Rams' defense isn't awful. The supporting players will have to produce if the Rams are to regain the same swagger that the 2018 group had though. Number 16, Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings defense has taken some noticeable steps back in 2017 when they surrendered the fewest points. They lost 4 starters in the offseason. Linval Joseph, Trey Waynes, Xavier Rhodes, and Everson Griffin. Minnesota has enough playmakers in Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks, Harrison Smith, and Anthony Harris to ensure that they don't fall apart entirely. But the secondary is still a big question mark, and the pass rush will miss Griffin's services. This looks to be a middle-of-the-pack group for 2020. Number 15, Indianapolis Colts. Pure genius move to trade for DeForest Buckner, one of the game's premier young defensive superstars who's only entering his prime. He and Darius Leonard are going to dominate for years to come. Leonard, Buckner, and veteran Justin Houston are enough to make this an above-average unit on their own. But the Colts will need a young secondary to hold down the fort in 2020 if they want to be a top-tier defense. Number 14, Green Bay Packers. The Packers defense, and not Aaron Rodgers, was the key to their trip to the NFC Championship game last season. I mean, Aaron Rodgers definitely helped. Za'Darius Smith and Preston Smith both had career years, recording 13.5 sacks and 12 sacks. The secondary was also pretty solid, led by Adrian Amos, Darnell Savage, and Jair Alexander. It's tough to expect a repeat performance from this unit in 2020. Regression seems inevitable, but they can prove us wrong. The Packers defense could very well lead this franchise to their 5th Super Bowl title. Number 13, Philadelphia Eagles. Everybody knows how dangerous that pass rush is with Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, and Derek Barnett. The secondary was weak in 2019, but that should change following the blockbuster acquisition of Pro Bowl corner Darius Slay. With an improved secondary, this defense should be able to play at a level similar to 2017, when they won their first ever Super Bowl. Number 12, Tennessee Titans. Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry got all the credit, but that Tennessee defense needs some more respect. All they did was end the Tom Brady era in New England, before defeating MVP Lamar Jackson and the top-seeded Baltimore Ravens. Losing Logan Ryan and Jarrell Casey hurts, but Kevin Byard, Harold Landry, Jeffrey Simmons, and Adoree Jackson still round out an elite young core. After reaching the AFC Championship game in rather convincing fashion, it's safe to say this unit will be near elite once again in 2020. Number 11, Dallas Cowboys. Because everybody hates the Cowboys, and because all the attention goes to the offense. Folks often overlook how good this Dallas defense really is. They were 10th against the pass last year, 11th against the run, and 11th in scoring defense. That's pretty solid, and they should be even better in 2020, despite the losses of Malik Collins, Robert Quinn, and Byron Jones in free agency. DeMarcus Lawrence, Leighton Vander Esch, and Jalen Smith are all game changers. They're good enough to keep this unit afloat. The secondary comes with some question marks, but the front seven will help them aplenty. Number 10, Kansas City Chiefs. After being downright awful in 2018, the Chiefs defense experienced a remarkable turnaround under new defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo. Frank Clark and Chris Jones fronted a ferocious pass rush, while Tyrann Mathieu and Juan Thornhill helped improve a secondary that was atrocious the year before. The Chiefs defense was actually near the bottom of the league in the first half, but they got red hot in the second half and in the postseason. Now that everybody is comfortable and accustomed to Spagnuolo's system, expect this unit to be in the top 10 for several major categories in 2020. Number 9, New Orleans Saints. Too bad this defense always melts down in the playoffs, because they sure are a dominant group in the regular season. There aren't any major weak links here. Demario Davis is one of the game's best do-it-all linebackers. Cameron Jordan and Marcus Davenport led a top-tier pass rush. Marcus Williams is one of the league's best safeties. You just have to forget about that Minneapolis Miracle. The Saints know their defense is championship caliber in the regular season. Now if they could just come together come playoff time. Number 8, Chicago Bears. The Bears went from first in scoring defense in 2018 to fourth in 2019. Still pretty damn good. Their secondary is deep with Kyle Fuller and world-class safety Eddie Jackson. The front seven is phenomenal, and it should be better with Khalil Mack in line for a big bounce-back season. Raquan Smith, Akeem Hicks, and newcomer Robert Quinn will be nightmares for opposing offenses to deal with. Shout out to my name. The Bears defense will give them every chance to win. Now, if Nick Foles or Mitch Trubisky could just do something on offense to help them out. Number 7, Denver Broncos. This group was quietly one of the NFL's best in 2019 under first-year head coach Vic Fangio. Safety Justin Simmons enjoyed a breakout year, and the Broncos were 10th in scoring despite an off year for Von Miller, and a season-ending injury for Bradley Chubb. Miller should regain his usual MVP-like form. Chubb will complement him beautifully. Trade acquisitions Jarrell Casey and AJ Bouye will bolster the group even more. Those four, along with Simmons, lead a star-studded defense. This group will be top-notch in 2020, so book it. Number 6, Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers secondary is one of the deepest we've ever seen, led by All-Pro safety Derwin James, All-Pro corner Desmond King, and 2 other Pro Bowl corners in Casey Hayward and newcomer Chris Harris Jr. Of course, they're complemented by the dynamic pass-rushing duo of Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram. This is top to bottom, one of the best defenses in the NFL. But like the Bears, it'll go to waste if the quarterback position doesn't hold up. At any rate, good luck finding any open receivers against that secondary. Number 5, New England Patriots. The Pats allowed just 14.1 points per game in 2019, the fewest in the NFL. They were aided by a weak first half schedule, however, and the defense experienced a notable second half regression, losing Patrick Chung, Dante Hightower, Kyle Van Noy, Jamie Collins, Danny Shelton, and Daron Harmon-Hurts. But Bill Belichick always replaces his veterans with younger and cheaper studs, so they'll be fine. The secondary is as deep as ever, led by reigning Defensive Player of the Year Stephon Gilmore, Pro Bowl safety Devin McCourty, his vastly underrated twin Jason McCourty, and young corner J.C. Jackson. Even if the offense struggles, the Pats will remain competitive because of Belichick's always stingy defense. Number 4, Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's see here. They led the NFL with 54 sacks. They were 5th in both yards and scoring defense. They were 3rd against the pass. Oh, and they led the NFL with 38 turnovers. In other words, this unit is downright nasty. The pass rush is anchored by TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward, and Bud Dupree. The secondary is deep with All-Pro safety Minkah Fitzpatrick and veteran studs Steven Nelson and Joe Hayden. There are concerns about Ben Roethlisberger's health and his supporting cast on offense, but the defense alone won the Steelers 8 games last season. Keith Butler's group will once again give this team every chance to win in 2020. Number 3, Buffalo Bills. There we go, Bills, New York team coming at you. 3rd in yards and 2nd in scoring last year, and yet these Bills could be even better in 2020. They have a star-studded group all over the field. Micah Hyde and Tre'Davious White led a superb secondary that allowed only 195.2 passing yards per game in 2019. Ed Oliver, who's poised for a big sophomore year. There are no real flaws in the Bills' defense. They're officially an elite category, and it wouldn't shock us one bit if they finish the 2020 season as the NFL's number 1 unit. It's going to be a pretty exciting year in the NFC East for not the Patriots. I mean, they got Cam, but the Bills looking good. Number 2, San Francisco 49ers. They allowed the 2nd fewest yards last season, finishing 1st against the pass. The 49ers racked up 27 turnovers and 48 sacks. This group is downright scary everywhere. Richard Sherman turned back the clock in 2019, becoming an all-pro corner once again. As good as he and Jimmy Ward are, the identity of this defense is the pass rush. You can account for all of Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, Dee Ford, Solomon Thomas, Quan Alexander, and rookie Javon Kinlaw, who replaces the departed DeForest Buckner. What can we say? Expect more greatness from Robert Saleh's group in 2020. Number 1, Baltimore Ravens. There is not a flaw in this defense. They have the league's best secondary, anchored by Pro Bowl safety Earl Thomas and the stud cornerback duo of Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters. The already stout pass rush added more juice with the acquisitions of Pro Bowler Calais Campbell and Derek Wolfe. Matt Judon, coming off a career-high 9.5 sack season, just gets better and better each year. And how did LSU linebacker Patrick Queen fall to them at 28th overall in the draft? The Ravens have the best secondary and the best defensive coordinator in football in Don Martindale. Their pass rush might be the league's best in 2020. Again, there aren't any flaws in this unit. They have playmakers all over the field. This is the league's best defense for the 2020 season. But of course, who do you think is the best defense in the NFL? Join me in the comment section below. Follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We are on everything. Go follow, go subscribe, go do all that because we really do appreciate it. And of course, subscribe to TPS right down below. That little red button, that little square thing right there. Click it, smash it, blast it, do whatever you gotta do. And of course, like this video because we really appreciate it as well and it helps us out. So thank you. All you guys who actually like this video, we really do appreciate it. Like, it actually means a lot because you're helping us and we're helping you by giving you entertainment and making you happier, hopefully, and not mad like you most are in the comments. Sometimes, who knows? I don't care. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. I'll see you next time.
My knee.